Hello and welcome to VC House channel. Let me introduce Jim Simmons from Silicon Valley. He is co-chairman at Caltech Angel Network and managing partner at Simmons Goodspeed Ventures. And today we are talking to Jim about his job and his VC secrets. Jim, at first, can you tell us about Caltech Angel Network and Simmons Goodspeed Ventures strategy? Where do you invest in terms of geography? At what stage do you invest? What is the average check? Are you industry agnostic or not? And what is the difference between these structures?
Okay, well, let's start with Simmons Goodspeed Ventures. We will raise another fund in about 3 or 4 years. We're currently investing in our existing portfolio companies, and they're in spaces, what you could call deep tech, enterprise hardware spaces, wireless, semiconductor materials, clean tech, quantum computing, all sorts of water, things of that nature. That's often involving physics and chemistry. So it's somewhat unusual today. But those are the type of spaces we invest in. And, and again, we'll do a new fund in about 3 or 4 years and hopefully be a bigger one. And, we think we have a couple of good ones coming along right now. The Caltech Angels Network invests very early, and it is for alumni of Caltech, California Institute of Technology in the Los Angeles area. It's a science school, so it's consistent with Simmons Goodspeed Ventures also. And, we help entrepreneurs from Caltech and also investors from Caltech, and it's a global network. So actually it was started by another alum, a young alum whose other alma mater is Berlin Institute of Technology in India. And they did a virtual network, and it worked really well. And this is before COVID. This is like a year before COVID. So we've done that, and it's been great. And we're looking to partner with other alumni networks and organizations to expand the network. Expand deal flow and help our entrepreneurs, our alums, our investors. But those are the things that we're doing right now. So is that a good, in the Caltech Angels Network, I would say the checks are, the checks can be 50 to, 250K, something like that. It is, at the moment, it is for Caltech alums, entrepreneurs, but we're investigating other, partnering with other organizations. So how's that? Is that a good start?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And are you, Caltech, is it investing in different regions or just US or what?
The Caltech Angels Network will invest globally, as long as it's a Caltech alum. And the investors, we have something like 30 or 40 investors who are Caltech alums, and they're all over the world. Mostly in the US, but I mean, we try to reach out to alums all over the world, and the same with entrepreneurs. That's when it started, which was a year before COVID, it was virtual, meaning that we could do it that way. And that was one of the benefits, is you could connect people globally. And then COVID happened and that became normal. So, it's interesting. So yeah, that's Simmons Goodspeed. Typically, before COVID, we were mostly local in the Silicon Valley area. Although there's some deals that we did, in Los Angeles, and we would look at other deals. It probably has to be a little bit better, but we did, for example, a spin out from Caltech with a Nobel laureate in chemistry and one of the 4 co-inventors of the lithium-ion battery, and that turned out to it ended up not quite going as the way we wanted, but it was a great team, and we learned a lot about batteries, and which is a big problem. So we were happy to be in that deal. Really were. Met some great people.
Thank you. And you know, I attended Harvard Business School in 2009, and you attended in 1972. So it's almost 40 years difference. What do you think? Has something changed in the education in Harvard Business School, or do you remember anything from the educational course?
Sure. Well, yeah, it has changed, but the basics are the same. And that's what's great about Harvard Business School. I mean, I have many stories from when I went there. One of them was a very famous professor, Professor Ted Levitt, who's no longer with us, but he was a tremendous guy and he taught marketing. And he was the first person to originate the whole solution, the whole product concept. And the first class, our marketing class, our first year, he asked us to all, he says, well, Mr. So-and-so, please give us the facts of the case. And the guy talks for a few minutes and he says, okay. And he says, how about you, Mr. So-and-so? Blah, blah, blah. He talks about it. How about you, Mr. So-and-so? Blah, blah, blah. He talks about it. And after 15 minutes, he calls on somebody who says, blah, 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 the customer. Mr. So-and-so, could you say that again? Blah, 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 the customer. Say that again. Blah, the customer. Oh, the customer. And he writes customer in 3-letter word, 3-foot letters on the blackboard. It took 15 minutes for somebody to mention the customer. And his point was nothing happens in marketing unless you are thinking about the customer. And that is a timeless insight, in my opinion. But it's they stay with the fundamentals. And another great professor is Professor Bill Salmon. I had the honor of I was invited to a venture capital session about 4 years ago, and Professor Salmon led it. And he is a force of nature and one of the great entrepreneurs. He represents entrepreneurship at Harvard Business School. And a lot of the other professors, of course, represent big companies, which is important. That's a big force in our life. But entrepreneurs are the people that, disrupt big companies. And Professor Salmon really understands that really well. And he is a tremendous example of entrepreneurship. So I'm probably talking too much, but they have some tremendous professors, and it's a great school. As one friend told me, he was an HBS alum. And he said, just remember, at Harvard Business School, they teach you to see the big picture. And I think that's exactly right. I didn't realize it at the time, but over the years, I figured out that's what they did. It makes you see the big picture, which is invaluable.
What they usually say to us was, we don't give you right answers. That was probably every lesson. Yeah. Okay, but
yeah. They don't give you the answers. And they they have these cases. They're real cases, and there could be many right answers. And it makes you think. Absolutely, it's very pragmatic, and it's a great school. It's a great experience. The case experience. I felt like they were trying to give you, I don't know, 30 years of experience in 2 years, which is really valuable.
And probably great network.
Yes, the network is great. Absolutely. Yes.
And I would say that you have seen almost the whole history of Silicon Valley, because you are looking younger than you are. And and so can you tell us, what do you think is the formula of a great VC?
Sure. Well, that's a big question.
You've seen a lot of them probably in your life, yeah? And yeah. Successful and unsuccessful. So what is the difference between some guys maybe? Just...
Well, our view, and based on what I've seen, is that entrepreneurship is really a noble calling. It's a great thing to do. You know, we are excited every day to back the entrepreneurs that we back. And one of the most important things that we look for in an entrepreneur is, you know, somebody with a track record and the passion needed to, you know, to succeed. Because entrepreneurship, you know, doing startups is really hard. And a lot of people, not everyone understands that, but it really is hard. And there is luck, and not all startups work out, but you don't want, you know, you don't want the entrepreneur to give up, because then as an investor, we lose everything. So we do a lot. We try to, you know, I'm not saying everything is perfect, but we try to help entrepreneurs wherever we can. And sometimes, you know, it's just a very difficult process. And we try to sometimes tell them war stories, stories of things that we've seen where things were difficult and things still worked out really well. And it can work out that way. I mean, and a couple of the startups I was at, you know, things looked terrible for 4 or 5 years. I mean, really a long time, and everything that could go wrong seemed to go wrong. And then suddenly we solved all of our problems, and, you know, a giant customer placed a $30 million order, 2 of them, and the thing took off like a rocket. And I would never have believed that if I hadn't seen it myself. So we try to do everything we can to help the entrepreneurs, because they have a really tough job. I mean, they're getting told by customers, all sorts of customers, they're being rejected, and they're, you know, other investors. It's also hard to raise funds. And so we try to be a sounding board, you know, to do what we can to help them through that journey. I guess that's the best way to describe it. You know, we think the passion is really an important characteristic, because it leads to being able to get through those very difficult times.
And what do you think? What is harder for VC, to raise money or to invest smart and profitable?
Well, raising money is hard. It's hard for us as VCs to raise money. It's hard. It's a lot like for the entrepreneur. And we've done startups. In fact, I'm doing a startup right now where I'm it's in a very unusual space where typically only women understand it. It involves fashion. And so it's hard for, I think, entrepreneurs. It's also hard for VCs. I would say that investing is, I mean, you see many, many deals, and it becomes very subjective. Now, we have our criteria, and we are very focused on our criteria. There's 6 major criteria. We're very focused on them, but still there's many startups that get through that, you know, some that get through that. And so picking them it's a subjective business. It's like you said at Harvard Business School, there is no one right answer. So, and we all miss, as VCs, we all miss on some deals. We all miss some deals that were, you know, that we passed on, it became hits. And so, you know, there is some luck involved. There is. There's no getting around it. So, in fact, I worked for, before Simmons Goodspeed Ventures, I worked for Bill Draper. Bill is in his 90s now, but he was the first, and he's been in Silicon Valley since the 1960s. He was the first institutional investor into Skype. And that wasn't my deal. That was Howard Hartenbaum's deal. But when that deal took off, I emailed him. I said, "Congratulations, Bill." He says, "Thanks. We were lucky." So he fully admits, you know, there is luck involved, and we're all going to miss. You know, some of our startups aren't going to work out. Usually, it's not the entrepreneur's fault. You know, you have to get on the field, and you have to take some really good cuts, and you have to take a bunch of them. So that's kind of our philosophy, and we try to help our entrepreneurs whenever we can, because it's very difficult.
If I'm not wrong, at that time, Bill had a partner, and Pete Johnson. Yeah, it was his partner.
Okay, Pitch Johnson. Yeah, that was around in the 1960s, and that was before I met Bill.
Yes.
So the Skype investment, he made that investment in 2002, roughly. Okay. With Draper Richards, and he and Pitch went in different directions in I think it was the 1970s, and both extremely successful, and they're both absolutely wonderful people who tell great stories. You know, you talk about the history of Silicon Valley, those two guys, you know.
I will tell you a new story about Pete Johnson. Tomorrow, on Thursday, it will be a global technology symposium, and we are partner of this symposium. And Pete Johnson will be a speaker there, so you can meet him.
Great.
We are ready to invite you. Yeah, no problem.
Great.
Yeah, it's really, it was so many years ago, but okay, let's go. Let me ask you about maybe your favorite startup.
Favorite startups?
Yeah,
Sure.
from.
Sure. I'm happy to talk about it. I mean, one of them is it's a company called Sylvan Source, and we think it's the first new water treatment technology since reverse osmosis was commercialized in the 1960s. I mean, these people, this is a great team, and they have a genius chemist, they have an exceptional engineer, and they have a very talented CEO who worked at Hewlett Packard, and along with the VP of engineering, took their laptop business from 400 million to 2 billion. And this company has a new heat transfer technology that we believe is several times more powerful than conventional technology. And it allows, it basically reduces CapEx by 40 to 50% and OpEx by 40 to 50% in most applications. And they've got, there's a former vice chairman of Chevron that's an investor, Simmons Goodspeed is an investor, and they have a very large company in India that wants to order, is in the process of placing an order, a multi-million-dollar order, and they have identified a need for up to 300 water treatment systems that sell for $1 to $10 million each. So we think it's a large market with a powerful technology. By the way, with our network of physicists and chemists at Caltech and other universities, we've identified, how hard it would be for somebody to copy their technology. And the estimate of these scientists is that even with quantum computers, if quantum computers continue to advance as they have, it may take up to 20 years for somebody else to, copy the technology from scratch. Exactly. So it's a powerful barrier to entry. It's going to be very hard for others to copy it, and we think it's a great deal. So we're very excited about that.
Are you on the investor side in this startup?
Yes, we're an investor. Simmons Goodspeed's an investor, along with the former vice chairman of Chevron. Yes, absolutely. And there's a member of the Caltech Angels that's an investor, and there's some other talented individuals.
So you're waiting for the good exit, yeah?
Yeah, we think it could be a great exit. And
so what can be the multiplier for this startup?
Well, their forecast is they're raising another round right now, and their forecast is after that round closes that their revenue in 4 years will be $300 million a year in year 4, with EBITDA of 80 million. And if you have a startup that does that, the valuation of that company is going to be high. I'm not, we can put multiples of 5, 10x, something like that on it, and it'll be a large valuation. And so we think it could certainly be an exit, could be, 10x or more. So we think that could be a very good exit. And yeah. I'm not counting chickens. I mean, there's a lot to go and so forth, but we're very enthusiastic about it. We think it's a powerful deal. It really is. It's really something.
How fast have you taken the investment decision in that case?
Well, that one, it took us a while, but really, when we met the first time I sat down with the team, it was the CEO, Laura Dimmons, the VP of Engineering, Gary Lum, and today he's the scientist emeritus, Gene Tears, a PhD in physical chemistry. And I sat down with them, and they told me that they had put three technologies together that no one else had done before because of thermodynamics challenges. And I listened to them for an hour and a half, and I thought, this is a great team, because I knew that, I mean, at Caltech, we all agreed as undergrads that the most difficult part of physics was quantum mechanics. That was the hardest. But thermodynamics was not far behind. And if you have a team that could do something nobody else had done in thermodynamics, we knew this is a very rare and talented team. So, especially with their track record. So, yeah, we did a lot of diligence, but, you know, I would say we made the first investment within a couple of months after that. But I felt like there was something really special just after that, that first meeting of all three of them.
Thank you, Jim. So 2 months, yeah, it's a good period of time. And can you tell us about your biggest investment mistake?
I see.
You know, it's just interesting for us to understand what probably newcomers should avoid. You know, some new business angels, new VCs. So you are a very experienced guy, and yeah, it's very important for us.
I'm trying to think. There's so many mistakes. I'm trying to think of it.
Maybe you just missed a deal, and it was the biggest mistake in your life.
Yeah. Well, you know, I was, yeah, I mean, we miss, I think all VCs miss, and we make our mistakes. We try to fix them fast.
Besides,
I mean, but I would say one was we did see a deal that it was an electric car deal. It wasn't Tesla, but it was a guy who knew the people at Tesla, and that one probably wouldn't have been a hit. But yeah, I mean, if we would have paid more attention, maybe we would have invested in Tesla. I don't know. I mean, it's possible. But yeah, we make our mistakes. We try to fix them fast. It's inevitable in this business. So
yeah, absolutely agree with you.
Yeah.
Because VCs are not gods. So
oh yeah, many of these don't work out. Another, by the way, can I tell you about another favorite startup?
Okay.
This is a company that's in fashion, and it's turned out that two of our best startups were founded by women, which is we didn't count on that, but it just happened that way. And the second one is it's fashion and mobile commerce. And basically, it turns out it's often women, but sometimes men will see, you know, say another woman wearing a dress, and they like the dress. And what they want to do is they want to look on their smartphone, and they want to get, press one button and get the fabric, the brand, the price, and one more button, impulse buy. And that's what we want to do. Now, there's about 10 or 12 startups that are trying to do this with software only, just by taking a picture. And they haven't taken off. And so we took some data to try to understand why not. And one of them was Google, and the other one was a startup founded by Kim Kardashian, and or invested in by Kim Kardashian. And out of 935 attempts to identify the exact same item, 0 did it work. It turns out that some problems are not solvable just by software only. So our solution involves hardware and software. We have a very small microelectronic device. Eventually, it'll be embedded in the dress or the shirt, and it has a 30-foot range. And we call it Shazam for fashion. Finally, brands have been trying for decades to try to capitalize when consumers have an impulse buy, and this technology finally allows it to happen. So, and I give credit to the woman who founded this. She had the idea, and you know, it's an insight into human nature, and we think it's a tremendous startup. And you know, I'm involved in managing it, and we have a CMO who's involved in it, and we're very excited about it. So it's another big market, $12 billion a year market, and you know, we have a patent. We think it's not going to be that easy for somebody else to do that. We think it's a pretty good technology. So we're excited about that one too.
It will be interesting to follow this startup and see what's happening in the future. Maybe last question, Jim. What do you think? It's better to miss the deal or to be careful and do the due diligence right and perfectly?
Oh boy, that's a really hard question. That's a very hard question. In other words, is it better to miss the deal or to be too careful in diligence? I mean, I I I think that sometimes it's well, it involves gut feel. It depends, but you know, if I think I would say based on our experience, if we really have a good gut feel in the deal and really think highly of the entrepreneurs, sometimes it's better to go ahead and do it, even without the perfect due diligence. Because I think it was John Doerr that said that in venture capital you can lose 1 times your money, but you can make 10 times. So we can't be afraid to go ahead and take a swing, even though we're not going to hit the ball every time. So that's my best answer, but that's a very hard question. Another great question.
Okay, I see. Thank you very much, Jim. Thank you very much for your openness and your advice. And I wish you and your firm good luck in the future.
Thank you, Alexander. It's a pleasure to be on here. And I understand that Sasha Johnson is involved at VC House.
Yes,
And,
yes.
she's a tremendous person. It's an honor to be involved with you. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.